Hello everyone, my name is Makeda Valada, also known as the Renaissance Amazon, and I'm reporting live from Cuba today. I'm in Santiago de Cuba, and that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to talk to you all about it a little bit. So, as those of you who follow me know, that I was in Havana in December. Went to Cuba for the first time to Havana, which I really love. But Havana is the biggest city in Cuba. And Santiago de Cuba is the second biggest. And Cuba is a huge island. It's like the size of from DC to Miami, okay? Huge, the biggest island in the Caribbean. So you could say Havana is like where DC is and Santiago is where Miami is. And both Havana and Santiago are very black and have very strong Afro-Cuban culture. Santiago is a place where there's a lot of Haitian descent, a lot of very strong Indios native presence as well. And it's really cool because, one of the differences with Santiago, it's like in Havana, I found there was coffee everywhere. You know, café con leche, which is Spanish-speaking people are really big on coffee. In Santiago, it was harder to find. Another thing that I really love from Spanish-speaking countries are batidos, which are like fruit and milk drinks that you find all throughout Latin America. Havana, I found them everywhere, but here in Santiago, I haven't seen it at all. And then in the United States, when we think of like Cuban food, a lot of times it's rice and beans. But in Havana and in Santiago, I rarely ever see beans. People eat rice, but I don't really see the beans. Sometimes I see moro, which is like rice and beans cooked together, but it's not that common. Usually it's just the rice. I don't see avocado a lot here. So like in the States, when I eat Cuban food, a lot of times it's rice and beans is accompanied, there's some type of avocado. Don't see a lot of that here. Also, seafood is not so big. There's a little bit of seafood, but Cuba is a heavily meat country. You know, lots of pork. Pork is on everything. You might find lamb. I remember one time, when I was here last time, I don't know if it was rabbit or, I think it might have been rabbit, chicken, beef. But pork is king in Cuba. And if you're a vegan, I wouldn't suggest coming to Cuba because you'll have a hard time eating. You'll probably just be eating rice and tomatoes because meat is the center of everything. And Cubans are very healthy people, very happy people. Some of the most happy, peaceful, intelligent people that I've been around. It's a place that you can come to and explore the island and feel safe. It's safe, like Costa Rica is safe, except I think Costa Rica is pretty boring. The culture in Cuba is so much richer, so much more colorful, so much more interesting to me than Costa Rica. Right outside of where I'm staying, there's performances, little kids, adults dancing, doing performances of traditional Afro-Cuban dances, music everywhere. Costa Rica is not like that. In Cuba, it's so black. Like, they used to call Cuba Little Africa because so many Africans got brought to Cuba from the slave trade. And Afro-Cubans, unlike Afro-Dominicans, unlike Afro-Puerto Ricans a lot of times, have a very strong black identity, like Afro-Americans, very strong, proud history, and very intelligent too, just like Haitians as well, this intelligence and pride. So I really recommend coming to Cuba. It is, you can watch my other videos where I speak about it. Another thing is that coming to Santiago, I flew into Holguin, which is the airport, not Havana, Holguin, which is like 2-3 hours away, like 2 hours away if you just drive and don't stop. And when I flew into Havana, nobody asked me what I was doing there, nobody asked me where I was going. In Havana, all they asked me was, do you want me to stamp your passport or not? And that was it. But flying into Holguin, they were asking me so many questions, and it was like, they were very serious, and they asked me if I was traveling for tourism. I told them no, because I thought that was illegal, because they kept saying that, like, since Obama lifted the restrictions, that we could travel, but it wasn't legal to travel for tourism. I read that several times. And so when he asked me, I told him no. I told him, oh, I'm going to study dance, and it became this issue. So then he tells me, well, this visa is for tourism. Now, I didn't know that. I thought that was illegal. That's all, always what I read. So it was like they were giving me like grilling me in Hollywood, and everybody was saying that. One of the first things they asked me is if I came from Brazil, and I'm like, no. And they asked my other friend who's traveling with me. She's Haitian. They asked her if she came from Brazil. I don't know what that question was about. So, when Havana is really easygoing, Hollywood was not. So I thought tourism was illegal, but I guess it's not anymore. So if you happen to fly into the Hungarian airport and they ask you if you're here for tourism, then you can just say yeah. And I'm renting, this is my third time here. I went to Havana in December 2016, then January 2017, and now I'm in Santiago. And it's really cheap. Another tip is that in Cuba there's two different types of money. There's kook, which is equal to $1 American. So one kook equals $1 American. That's what tourists use. Then there's the local money, that, I forget what it's called, but just the Cuban money, that one kook is equal to 24 pesos, so 24 of their money. And in Santiago, there's not a lot of tourists in Santiago, so a lot of things are priced in their money, and things are really cheap. You know, like last night we went and ate ice cream, and we had like 5 scoops of ice cream between all of us. No, maybe like 6, 7 scoops of ice cream between all of us, and it wasn't even $1. It was like 20 cents or something super cheap. So Cuba can be very cheap if you live like locals, go to local stuff. There's some things like in Havana that's more for tourists, where a meal might be $12, $13, $14, $15. But if you go to where the locals are, that same meal could be $4 or $2, you know? You can eat really cheaply. On the way to Santiago, we stopped on the road, and my friend got like a box with like this chicken that was so good, and some, I think it was rice and beans, like moro, and some plantain chips, and she said it was $1, and it was a good amount of food, and the beer was $1. And so a lot of times when I go out and have mojitos, they're like $2, you know? So you can be in Cuba on a budget, but when you're in Cuba, you can only, you can't get any more money out as an American. So whatever you come with, that's what you have, and that's it. So you want to keep that in mind and be careful what you're spending. And Cuba is a very safe place. Like, you have some people who might try to hustle you a little bit, but it's nothing serious. Like, the people here that try to hustle you, they're not trying to sell you anything fake. Like, there's a cigar hustle here. If you want to buy the Cohiba cigars, you know, you buy it in Havana at a store, it's like $150, $250. Then there's the black market, you know, of Cohiba, which in Havana was still $120. But today we bought a box of Cohiba, which all these different types of cigars. I forget how many cigars in the box, but it was a lot. $50 for the box, and I got this for my dad. But it's very high quality hand rolled cigars. And so in Santiago, things are a little bit cheaper than Havana because there's less tourists. But even then, when they're working out these deals with you, these black market deals, they're not selling you something fake, you know? A lot of times Cubans, like, people will try to, like, you know, you ask them, oh, where can I get such and such to eat? Sometimes they want to take you, and then they might end up being with you for 2-3 hours, like giving you a tour. And then, you know, sometimes they'll take you to these restaurants where they get commission, and the food is not that good, and the food is like $12. And you'll notice, because when you get in there, you'll see all tourists. You can tell they're tourists, and it's overpriced by their standards. And so that type of stuff, and food is never good in those places. So, but still, a lot of times they will give you a tour and show you a lot of things. So if I tip them $3, $4, $5, $6, like, that's not a big deal to me, and it's not like they're showing me anything that's not real. There's still a lot of things, because you can't go on Google Maps and be like, oh, where am I? You can't Google stuff, you know. So you're gonna have to talk to Cuban people, and they are very helpful in that. There's lots of public spaces in Cuba which I love. Havana and Santiago. Santiago's public spaces are even nicer. And it reminds me of New York in that way. There's a lot of parks, and people are in the parks, people are in the benches, like, people use the public spaces, they're outside. The loud music, which you might hear, which I freaking love, because it reminds me of home. Lots of dancing, lots of live music, very friendly, happy people. So I highly suggest that you visit Cuba. Now, I am going to stop this video. I'm just going to do a little video for my people, talking about, you know, giving an update, reports from Cuba. I'm trying to think of anything else that I want to say. I don't think so. So I hope this video was helpful, and if it is, please share with your friends. And please check out Cuba, because it's a country full of very intelligent, beautiful, happy, culturally aware black people. And the white people who are here are cool black people. It's like all the racist Cubans left and went to Miami. They're all in Miami. But it's all good in Cuba. So I'm going to end this video here because it's time for me to go dance or do something. So have a good day, people. Bye.